So one of the questions that I get a lot is about doing some of this work online, doing remote sessions, virtual sessions, online sessions, whatever you want to call them. And I get this question from a lot of people who do this work. Basically, anyone who does healing work where their client is in a trance state. And I've heard a lot of fear around doing sessions online. And I think that is part of what people hear from other places. I know it's part of like what other modalities will teach you in their training, but I can tell you from experience that it's not really an issue. It's not the issue that people make it out to be. I had all these same beliefs because this is what I was told, and I'm like, well, maybe I don't know. I don't know everything, so I just kind of followed what I was told. And then I started talking to a couple people, and one guy I talked to, he only does online sessions. He's been doing it for like 15 years, never ran into a problem. Actually, to be honest, every single person I've talked to who does sessions online, not a problem. Okay, and we'll go through some of the things that people believe about online sessions and do what's in your heart. Follow what's in your heart. But after today, hopefully you'll have a better understanding of what some of these things are that pop up, these questions people have, and that's why I put this together, to address those things. I've only done a couple hundred online, but I've never run into any problems. And all the things that I was told were problems aren't a big deal at all. All right, so what is the first problem that people cite as being an issue? Oh, you're going to lose connection and bad things will happen. Really? I remember even in my first day of first like class of training, Dolores Cannon said, "What's going to happen?" She's like, "If I get up and leave the room, one of two things will happen. Either the person will fall asleep, or they'll wake up and say, 'Hey, where'd she go?'" Those are the scenarios. I've lost connection lots of times doing online sessions, and the person just calls you back, and or you reset the connection, or you re-log into the meeting, and you just pick up right where you left off. It's no different than if they got up to go to the bathroom. Okay, not a big deal. Sometimes they don't realize it right away. They're on a roll and they're just talking. So it'll be a half hour of them before they realize that you're not there anymore, and they've been talking the whole time. So what I like to do in those cases, I just kind of have them recap some of the stuff that came up in when they were talking, and then when you can just pick up from there. But not a big deal at all. And really, there's nothing you even need to change about any of your scripts, anything you're doing. I changed a bunch of stuff in the beginning because I was like, oh, it can't be this, and it has to be different. And it honestly, you don't have to change a single thing. One of the suggestions I like to put in, however, is that if we lose connection, that they'll be able to reset the internet connection. It's really the only thing that I do differently. Then I don't even know if you have to do that. I just throw it in there because why not? All right. The next thing, that it's not safe. Oh, it's not safe. You won't be there if something happens. All the sessions that I've done, even like the online ones, what are you really gonna do? If that person was in person, what are you gonna do differently that you wouldn't be able to do online? I can't think of one scenario where I had something happen in person that, if they're crappie flopping around, it looks like they're having a seizure. There's nothing I'm gonna do here sitting in person. Okay, that's part of what needs to happen. And I look at the bigger picture too. Who do you think's guiding these sessions? The same thing I'm counting on for all this healing, for these amazing results, amazing healing. They're not going to let anything happen. I don't know what I'd tell you about that. Drop the fear around stuff. Okay. If they have to get up and go to the bathroom, if they get up and puke, like there's nothing you were going to do anyway. Okay. They will be fine. The other one that may have some slight merit is that it won't be as effective. And I don't really see this as that big of an issue. Like, this is way on the bottom of the list as far as the overall outcome of the session. Some of the results I've shared in my other work, a lady that she regrew her thyroid. That had been completely removed years earlier, and that was an online session. Okay, so it doesn't matter where my voice comes because each person's healing themselves. So where I'm guiding them from really doesn't make that big of a difference. I do like being in a person's energy. I can't hug them being online. There's something special about being in person, but as far as like the overall outcome, the effectiveness of the session, it's only a marginal difference, I would say. And really, you don't even notice it as being a thing. There's so many other factors that go into play. And if a person's ready, they're ready. And they're going to get what they need. Don't let that hold you back. All right, now some actual considerations, things that you need to think about if you're going to be doing these things. Okay, some things that you actually need to be mindful of. Probably the biggest thing is being able to hear a person. What I found is that most devices, most cameras, most laptops have a directional mic in them. So a directional microphone in the camera means that when I'm facing the camera, it sounds really great. But the second you turn away from the camera, you can't hear what the person is saying. And that's very hard, especially when they start talking softer, when you have them in a trance state and they start whispering, and you're like, what? Every like 5 seconds, it just sucks. So I encourage them, actually I require them to have headphones with a microphone. Even like the cheap ones that are like $10 work better than, I mean, they work perfect for doing this because they lay down, they have the microphone right here, and the sound quality is top notch. Some of the devices do have pretty good microphones. I've noticed in some of the Apple devices, just in general, like some of the iPads and stuff like that, the camera seems to pick up the sound, or the microphone that's built into the device seems to pick up stuff pretty well, but for the most part, most of the other ones suck. So that's one big consideration that you need to take into account. Another thing that I do for those sessions is having a headset myself. So I have a headset, like a gaming headset with microphone. You may have seen me use this on some of the other videos. When I don't want to talk, or when take a drink of water or something like this, it has the microphone where I can just flip it up and it just shuts off. Pretty handy. This is the JBL Quantum 400. I'm not pushing any products. I'm just telling you to make it easier for you to figure out what works best for you. But very happy with this. And the nice thing is, a lot of times I'm writing notes, so I'm not facing the camera, so my voice will go in and out. The microphone stays a set distance from your head, so you have that audio consistency. All right. A little tech day. All right, some of the other considerations is you need some form of video to be able to do the session. So there's different programs out there. I've tried the different ones. I actually like Zoom. So Zoom is nice because it records you can record the session directly through it. You can also use it for a lot of other things, but what I like best is it actually separates out the audio and the video so that you can then email that audio or video to the client. All right. I use like Google Drive for the file transfer. There's a lot of other file transfer software out there. Different ones are easier, harder to use, but I've had pretty good luck with just Google Drive. All right, so those are some of the technical aspects of it. You can do this without video, but it's a little harder. It's way easier to see the person, way easier to connect with them because you're reading all those other cues. So there's so much more than just the auditory communication. You're watching their body language, you're watching other forms of communication, you're watching their emotions, and I really, really feel that the video part is important, especially when you get into the trance part, because I watch their breathing, I pace with them, I make sure I'm not interrupting them because sometimes words are clunky. It's hard to form these thoughts into words. So you'll see their lips start moving, and then I know not to like interrupt them or cut them off. Whereas if you don't have that, it makes it a lot more difficult. Because I do this all over the world too, I've had to do that where we start out and it's daylight, and then you get into the session, and if it's in Europe, by the time you get halfway into the session, all of a sudden it's pitch black outside, and it's dark where they are, so there's no video, but by then it's pretty much smooth sailing, and you can just go from there. So also not a big deal. And those are kind of the main concerns. I ask you what feels right in your heart. and try it out. Maybe try this with another practitioner. Play around with it. It's really not that difficult. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Be more than happy to answer any of them. All right, look forward to talking to you. Any other tips you have, you can share those in the comments, and we'll see you on the next video. Thanks for being here.